A lot of people, when changing their strings, often want to know, well, what strings do I change them to? So there are so many different kinds of strings that you can buy. It is very confusing if you don't know what you're looking for. So if we start with electric strings, these are a really popular brand, Ernie Ball Super Slinky, and these are 9 to 42 gauge. So the numbers indicate the gauge of the strings, which is how thick they are. These are 0.9 to 0.42. And Super Slinky basically means extra light, so these are really light strings. So they'll give a brighter tone and they'll be easier to play, and because they're thinner they'll be easier to bend and be softer on the fingers. So if you're a beginner, these might be something you want to look at. And these are really cheap, these are about £5 a packet if you get them off Amazon. So I really recommend these. So you can also get them in different sizes, such as regular Slinky, which will come in a thicker gauge. So each string will be just a little bit thicker, and you can get some that are even thicker. So I think you can get like heavy Slinky or something like that. So for these ones, for electric guitar strings, this is another brand. These are some that I got a very long time ago. These are light, as indicated here. So some packets, some manufacturers may just call them light, extra light, heavy, extra heavy, medium. These are all to do with the gauge. So on here, as you can see, it indicates the gauges of the strings. Depending on how you play, depends on what gauge of string you have. If you play a lot of like heavy metal and drop your guitar down to like drop D or C tuning, you'll want heavier strings, and they'll give a heavier tone as well, and a thicker tone. For acoustic, some good brands are these ones, D'Addario, not exactly sure how you say it, but these are good. Also Elixir are a good brand, but they're more expensive. I think these were about £6 off Amazon again. These are phosphor bronze. Now some manufacturers just have normal steel or bronze coated. Others have the phosphor bronze coat onto their strings, which is basically how they're wound. They're wound with the phosphor bronze material like coated over it. And if they're coated, they're supposed to last longer. So with phosphor bronze, these say they have a warm, bright and balanced tone, and with phosphor bronze you have to break them in a little bit, so once you've played them for a few weeks the tone will come out in itself. With regular steel strings, they sound the best as soon as they're put on, so from the beginning, and they probably won't last as long in terms of their tonal qualities as the phosphor bronze like these, but they are cheaper, but they don't last as long. So it really depends on if you want a longer lasting string, which is going to sound best later on once they've been worn in a little, or if you want a string that's going to sound great from the off. It really depends on the type of sound you want. So these are medium gauge. I changed them from light gauge to medium gauge on my acoustic, and with a medium or heavy gauge, so the strings on these range from 0.13 to 0.56 of an inch, as you can see, and that's just the measurement of the width of each string. So this gauge here indicates how the different gauges on the strings alter the sound. So the lighter strings on your guitar, if you have a lighter gauge such as the Super Slinkies or just regular light, super light, whatever they're called by the manufacturer, they will give a brighter tone and a really kind of crisp tone. If you want a heavier tone and a more mellow tone, you'll want to go for something such as the medium or the heavy gauge, bearing in mind that the heavier you do get, they are harder to play on the fingers. So if you're doing a lot of finger picking, you'll want sort of a light string, and if you're doing a lot of rhythm and really meaty kind of rhythm parts, you'll want a heavier string. So it just depends on what kind of music you play. It's worth looking up online the strings before you buy them. Each manufacturer is different and they will have their own recommendations to the style of music for each of their types of strings. So I hope you found that useful. That was just a brief outline of the different types of guitar strings and how they differ. Just an introduction to the different gauges and that kind of thing. I hope you found it useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, leave them below and I will try and respond to them. So thanks for watching, bye!